Lyon are one of the clubs most affected in French football by the influx of money into PSG. They dominated the early 2000s, winning 7 league titles in a row, but they haven't won a league title since 2007-2008. Since the money came into PSG in 2011, Lyon have finished runners-up twice and finished third 3 times. This is a club, though, that made the semi-finals of the Champions League as recently as 2020, when in the COVID-affected year, they were knocked out at that semi-final stage by eventual winners Bayern Munich. However, this season, they are having truly the season from hell. They were already on the 3rd manager, which is an interim manager, so there'll be a 4th manager along very, very shortly, no doubt. And as we were recording this, 14 games into the season, they're rock bottom on 7 points, 6 points clear of safety, and a massive 26 points behind PSG. Over the 5 seasons of this rebuild, the aim is to get them regularly back into Europe, trying to challenge for the title, and hopefully picking up a Coupe de France along the way that they haven't won since 2011. Obviously, looking at where that squad is in real life, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. And as you'll see when we get into this rebuild using the real world mode in FM24, you'll see that there's a lot of turmoil, where there's a hell of a lot of people coming in, a hell of a lot of people going out. The squad is getting a lot worse in this first summer. So this first year is going to be really difficult. And let's hope that the board don't have any unrealistic expectations for this first season, especially given where they are in real life. So, about those unrealistic expectations, the board want us to qualify for the Champions League. Obviously, the board are in another universe to where Lyon are in real life, and they also want us to meet the quarterfinals of the Coupe de France in this first season. Transfer-wise, as we said, there's a hell of a lot of people coming in. There's 9 players coming in, and there's a hell of a lot of players going out. So, it's one of those ones where the teams we pick at the start of the season may well not match what we have later on in the season. Also, there is very little room to manoeuvre here. 3 million in the transfer budget. We are currently 140,000 over the wage budget. We are committed to spending bang on the wage budget, so there's no room in the wage budget, and there's £3 million in the transfer budget. So we may need to move some of that about if we are looking to bring any players in this first season. I mean, in theory, it's a decent squad, but we are getting rid of 1, 2, 3 of our best 8 players. It also is a pretty aging squad as well, so that probably needs some work. So we've made it past the transfer window in season 1, and things have started reasonably well. Considering, as we said at the start, they've got 7 points from 14 games in real life this season. We've already managed to pick up 6 points from 4 games. Transfer-wise, we've not done much. We've sent a few players out on loan. That's about it. And in terms of incomings, all we've done is a couple of free transfers and a loan deal. So firstly, the loan deal, we've brought Yusufa Mokoko in on loan for the season. There is an option to buy, but it is at a level that we will never be able to afford. So it is only a one-time deal. And so far, he's only made 3 appearances off the bench in the first games of the season. We then added Jesse Lingard, just to try and give us a bit of experience at the top end of the pitch. Again, he's not been a regular starter so far. And then we also added Roberto Soriano, who can play in the centre midfield, can play in that number 10 role. He has started 2 games, he scored a goal as well. So that's all we've done in the first transfer window. Tactic-wise, we're going with a 4-3-3. We've not nailed anyone in because I think for the first season, we just want to see what the assistant manager is going to pick. And so schedule-wise, we've won our 2 home games and lost our 2 away games. So we lost away at Strasbourg and didn't really put up a fight at all, although it was 2 late goals that they got. Montpellier at home was a much better performance. Came away with a 3-1 victory. And then we went away to Nice and got hammered, which isn't unexpected because Nice are one of the top teams in France at the moment. we did miss a penalty as well as losing 4-1 there. I mean, we did tail off very late on in that game. Sofiane Diop with a hat-trick. The first one came in the 79th minute. We obviously just didn't react to that, didn't get back into the game. But then, on transfer deadline day, somehow, at home, we managed to beat PSG. Got off to a great early start. They pegged us back and we went straight up the other end, got a goal, and then somehow hung on for the rest of the game. So after 4 games, like I say, we're in 6th. We have played a game more than most teams. So the position's probably slightly artificial, but we've almost got as many points as they've got in real life already. And now let's simulate and see what happens in the rest of season 1. And there we have it, season 1 in the books. We've managed to finish 7th. We've got 55 points, level on points with Marseille, who finished in 6th and qualified for the Europa League. We've qualified for the Europa Conference League, which, given where Lyon are in real life this season, is a bit of a pipe dream. I mean, to imagine that they're going to get 55 points this season, given that they've got 7 in 14 so far, seems a bit of a stretch. I mean, looking at this, we can see Moukoko did come good, was the leading goal scorer in the league for us, and Ryan Cherky stepped up with 11 assists as well. And we'll have a look at the squad in a bit more detail in a second. We were sort of 6th for most of the season. We went up to 5th towards the end, and then in the last couple of weeks of the season we dropped off and swapped places with Marseille by the looks of it. And it's just that bad run of form towards the end there. Lost 2 of the last 5 and only won 1 of them. And that's what's contributed us to us finishing 7th and not finishing any higher and qualifying for a different European competition. Coupe de France made it all the way to the semi-final, but disappointing to be knocked out by a team that aren't even in the top division in France currently. And to make it even worse, it was 4-4 and we lost on penalties. And we played the whole second half, and I don't know whether there was extra time or not, but certainly the whole second half, a man down after Tagliafico got sent off, and then just bottled it in a penalty shootout. So looking at the squad, the players that we brought in, so Jesse Lingard only started 1 game, made 12 substitute appearances. Soriano only started 4 games and made 3 substitute appearances, which is interesting there. Moukoko started 30 in the end and made 7 substitute appearances. So the signing, apart from Moukoko, the other 2 signings, the 2 signings we signed permanently, made no impact at all. Goals-wise, Moukoko 17, Lacazette 15, Ainsley Maitland-Niles popping up with 12, and Ryan Cherky with 8. We didn't score enough, I think, is the key message to take from that this season. Cherky with the most assists, 17 in all competitions. But yeah, we certainly need to score more goals, I think, going forward. So going into season 2, we have a bit of money in the transfer budget and a bit of money wage budget-wise as well. We are in the process of doing some deals. We've made some offers to players. So we're looking to sign Sergio Rico as a goalkeeper. We're looking to bring Daniel Brugani in as a centre-half. And then at the top end of the pitch, we're looking to bring in Bertrand Traore and Luka Jovic. Whether we get them all or not, we'll have to wait and see. We're in a pretty decent position, I think, going into season 2. And it's just a case of now kicking on and using what money we have available to improve this squad so that we can hopefully finish higher up the table and hopefully start challenging for the title. But that might be a bit of a pipe dream, given where that squad is at the start of the game. So season 2 hasn't seen wholesale changes to the squad. There's a lot of players have left on free transfers at the end of the contract, and we didn't make any signings other than the ones that we mentioned at the end of season 1. We signed Sergio Rico to play in goal. We signed Luka Jovic, Daniel Brugani, Bertrand Traore, and the Kaya Takar deal went through. He was on loan with us last season, with the permanent deal kicking in this summer. Tactic-wise, we're staying with the 4-3-3 because it seemed to be fairly successful last season. We've not locked anyone into any of those positions. And the start to the season's been interesting. So in the league, we've played 4 games. We've won 1, drawn 2, lost 1. So we started with a 0-0 draw at home to Montpellier. At least the defence was pretty strong. We didn't do an awful lot going forward. Then Clermont, we beat 2-1. An own goal and a goal from Lacazette, who was playing off the right-hand side with Jovic through the middle. And then Strasbourg, we got off to a decent start. They were 2-1 up just before the hour. We pulled it back. They got a late penalty and we ended up losing 3-2. And then Lens, we came away with a 1-1 draw, which Lens are a decent team in both in real life and actually at the start of FM24. We played pretty well. We missed another penalty and that's cost us in that game. As far as the Europa Conference League is concerned, in the qualifying rounds we played against TSC and did a pretty professional job. First leg we came away with a 2-0 victory away from home, 2 goals in the second half from Tagliafico and Jovic. And then in the second leg, a pretty comfortable 3-1 victory, a late consolation goal for them, see us through 5-1 on aggregate. And then in the league phase of the Europa Conference League, we've got games against Olympiacos, Villaznia, Jedvinstvo, Lugano, Sturm and Shamrock Rovers. So hopefully we should at least make it through to the knockout stages with that run of games that we've got. And let's simulate season 2 and see if we can achieve that. We're at the end of season 2 and I think you would have to say it didn't really go as we were hoping. When you look at the league, we dropped back slightly from last season. We've dropped a place in the table. We had 2 points less than we did last season. And we just drew far too many games. 11 draws. We drew twice against Marseille, twice against Toulouse, twice against Nantes. We did get a draw against PSG, but just not good enough. Again, looking at that, we've struggled for goals again. The Europa Conference League, we made it to the quarterfinal before we got knocked out by Fenerbahce. We drew the first leg 1-1 and then lost the second leg 1-0. We knocked out Hibs in the round of 16, and in the league phase we finished 5th. 4 wins and 2 draws. So we beat Shamrock, we beat Jedvinstvo, we beat Villaznia, we hammered Villaznia and Olympiacos, and we drew with Sturm and Lugano. And then the Coupe de France, again we've made a semi-final. Again we've lost at that stage, this time to Marseille, and we just weren't at the races. I mean, and you look at the XG, they had 3 shots and an XG of 3 shots on target and an XG of 2.28. We had 3 shots on target and an XG of 0.56. That's the big difference between it. They were able to convert the chances. We weren't. Our goalkeeper looks like he had an absolute stinker, and it was Lopez in goal and not Rico, which is interesting. I wonder how many games Rico actually played. We'll have a look at that in a second. So looking at the squad and the players that we brought in this summer. So Traore started 23 games off the bench. Rico started 27. So he started 27 and Lopez started 23. So unless there was an injury there, they rotated them, which is an interesting one. Regani started 31, which is more like it. Jesse Lingard, who barely got a start last season, got 32 starts this season. And then Luka Jovic played the most games. He played 50 games this season. I mean, the one thing that's glaringly standing out at the moment is the average ratings of these players and the ones that didn't really perform. Goals-wise, we did score more. We did play more games, though, because we were in the Europa Conference League. Jovic with 17, Lacazette with 15, Cherki, Maitland-Niles and Lingard all getting into double figures as well. And Maitland-Niles, Cherki and Lacazette leading the way with the assists there as well. So going into season 3, we have a lot of money in the transfer budget, not much money in the wage budget. So there probably needs to be a bit of a juggle about, but hopefully there's enough there for us to be able to move the club forward in season 3. The summer between season 2 and season 3 saw a lot of players leave the club. Some expected, some unexpected, some free transfers. We certainly weren't expecting to sell Sergio Rico the summer after we signed him on a free transfer, but that ended up happening. We got quite a bit of money in to the club. In terms of the incomings, what we didn't mention in season 2 is we did quite a bit of work in January of season 1. We were struggling mid-table, and to try and push us up a bit, we did sign Eric Dyer from Tottenham. We signed Goncalo Borges from Porto, and we signed Mikatadze from Ajax. The goal scoring front is the one that's caused the most problems. So the first signing for season 3 was signing Ferran Jutgla from Bournemouth. Bournemouth had signed him from Club Brugge the season before. He hadn't had a great season for them, but he was better than what we had, and hopefully he could score some goals for us and push us forward. And then in terms of the incomings, we did some pre-contract deals. So we signed Danny Martin because we knew we were going to need to replace Anthony Lopez as a backup goalkeeper. We signed Tanganga from Tottenham on a free transfer because he was better than most of the defenders we had. We signed Onyemachi from Boavista, really just because we didn't have anyone else at left back behind Tagliafico, and he has proven to get suspended quite a bit. We picked up Serginho Dest, who can play both sides, right and left at the back. And then when we were in the process of selling Sergio Rico, we needed to sign a goalkeeper. So we picked up Alban Lafont from Nantes. Big improvement on what we had, and hopefully can help push us up the table. Tactic-wise, we have moved away from the 4-3-3 for the season. We're looking to go with a 4-2-3-1. And at the start of the season, I don't know that it's had the desired effect, the new tactic. We started opening day of the season with a great 2-0 victory at home to PSG. But then we've had draws against Toulouse and Nantes, sandwiching a disappointing defeat against Metz, where we got off to a great start and then basically switched off until injury time at the end of the game, where we got a consolation goal. So as it stands, we are down in 11th with 5 points from 4 games. But hopefully the new talent in the squad, once it gels, we can push ourselves back up that table. We don't have any European football to be concerned about this season either, so it is just the Ligue and the Coupe de France. Let's simulate season 3 and see what happens. Season 3 was more successful than season 1 and season 2. We've finished a place higher up the table than we did in season 1. We've qualified for the Europa League. We're still drawing quite a few games, but we managed not to lose to PSG this season, which is a plus. And then in the Coupe de France, something truly remarkable happened. Yes, we defeated PSG 2-1 in the final. We survived a bit of a storm by the looks of it. They had a 2.23 XG for their 1 goal. We had a 0.78 XG for our 2 goals. Obviously, we were playing some decent stuff, because that second goal for Kakare was a lovely bit of play, the way we opened them up. Mbappe was man of the match despite being on the losing team. His consolation goal not enough to get them back into the game, and we've picked up a trophy, and it's the first time that Lyon have won the Coupe de France since the 2011-2012 season. Looking at the squad, we've certainly dropped off again in terms of goals. Borges leading the way with 15, Jutgla with 14, Cherky with 13. He's developing into a proper player. Average rating over 7, 13 goals, 12 assists. Just needs to develop more in the last 2 seasons of the save. In terms of what we can do before season 4, we've got money in the budget. Transfer wise, wage budget wise, there's enough to get maybe 1 or 2 players in. We are going to have to make some changes to the squad. We are losing some players in the summer at the end of the contracts, We're losing Nicholas Tagliafico to Lyon. We're losing Jesse Lingard to Empoli. And we're using a young player to Inter Milan. But bring on season 4 and let's see if we can keep improving. Season 4, transfer-wise, we didn't send an awful lot of players out. Most of it was in terms of loan deals. The incomings, we started early, and we picked up Angel Gomez from Lille as probably a sort of a Jesse Lingard replacement. We also picked up Florian Neuhaus from Borussia Mönchengladbach, just to add some depth in that midfield. And then we picked up Amari Hutchinson on a free transfer, just as a kind of a bit of a gamble. It wasn't going to cost us much, but just to see if we could find a player in there somewhere. So the start to the season could not have got much worse. We lost the trophy to champion to PSG and weren't at the races. We got smashed by them on the opening day of the season. We then lost away at Clermont. We were comfortably beaten at home by Rennes. We picked up a point in a 0-0 draw against Montpellier, and then we lost away at Toulouse. So 5 league games played, 1 point, not exactly the start we were looking for. All of that was with the 4-2-3-1 that we'd played last season. So what we've done is we've altered it and we've gone for the 4-2-4. Now this might not work and this might actually be even worse than the 4-2-3-1, but it is the formation that brought us a Champions League in the Ajax rebuild, and hopefully just getting on the front foot, we can maybe get some more goals, and hopefully we can rescue this season, which is going abysmally before it's even really started. So let's simulate season 4 and see if we make it to the end of it without getting sacked, and see if we can push ourselves back up the league table. So we were able to kind of rescue our season. It did require some serious business in January. We sold some players for big money. Ferran Jutgla went to PSV for up to 29 million. Alban Lafont went to Brighton for 52 million, which meant we needed to replace those players. So we brought in Kakia to replace Lafont, and we brought in Marcus Leonardo from Newcastle, where he hadn't had the best of spells, to replace Ferran Jutgla. And I mean, as you can see, we were deep down in the league early on. We did manage to climb our way back up, and it was practically until the last couple of days of the season where we lost our last 2 league games, we were climbing the league table. Had we not lost those last 2 league games, there was a potential for us to have even potentially qualified for the Champions League. But we finished 6th. We've qualified for the Europa Conference League. It's our highest points total of the rebuild so far. The Coupe de France, we didn't do very well in terms of retaining that trophy, defending that trophy. We were knocked out 3-2 by Ajaccio in the 11th round. And the Europa League, we made it to the semi-finals, where we were beaten in both legs 2-1 by PSV, to miss out on a final there. We hammered Freiburg in the quarter-final. We beat them 6-1 in the first leg, 3-2 in the second leg to win 9-3 on aggregate. The round of 16, we came from behind in the second leg to beat Club Brugge. And in the league phase, we just snuck into the top 8 on goal difference ahead of Feyenoord. We had some pretty decent wins against Steaua Bucharest, Eintracht Frankfurt, St Mirren in the Europa League is a strange one, Tyrrell, Trabzonspor. We drew with Maccabi Tel Aviv, and then we lost to Porto and Freiburg. Looking at the squad, we definitely scored more goals, but I don't know whether that's just because the increase in games have been back in European competition. But Borges is certainly proven to be a top player. 19 goals, 13 assists, a 7.3 average rating. Ryan Cherky, again, carrying on that development, 19 goals, 17 assists, 7.15 average rating. Neuhaus, who we brought in the summer, popping up with 13 goals. Kakary popping up with 16 assists. Unfortunately, he's leaving the club at the end of his contract. Transfer-wise, we've got very little to spend. 11 million to spend in the transfer budget, 37,000 in the wage budget. It's probably enough for one player, and not even would that player even improve our first team is the question. One last season, can we push on? Can we win the Coupe de France again? Can we go a long way in the Europa Conference League? Let's find out in season 5. So going into season 5, not much happened. We didn't really sell anyone other than the players that left at the end of the contracts. And then in terms of the incomings, obviously we didn't have that much money to spend. We brought Diego Lopez in from Valencia, just an option wide on both sides and through the middle. And on deadline day, we brought in João Veloso on loan from Benfica, just to add a bit more quality in that central midfield area. Tactic-wise, we're still going with the 4-2-4. It was relatively successful last season in rescuing our form. And so far this season, that formation has seen some pretty wild fixtures. So Saint Etienne, relatively straightforward. We won 2-0 on the opening day of the season. Nantes, we beat 8-4. We were 5-1 up at half-time. They pulled it back to 5-2. Then we were 8-2 up, and then they got a couple of late goals. We then beat Reims at home 2-0. And at that point, 3 games, 3 wins, pretty comfortable. We were flying high at the top of the table. Brought back down to earth with a disappointing 2-1 defeat away at Lens. And then another wild game at home to Rennes and losing 5-3. It's going to be a wild season if we keep playing this 4-2-4. We've also experienced the highs and lows of the formation in the Europa Conference League as well. So the first leg of the qualifying round, we lost 2-0 away at Lech Poznan. But then in the home leg, we won 8-0 with a hat-trick from Miktaradze. So it is very hit and miss early on this season. Plenty of goals at both ends. In terms of the Conference League, we've been drawn against Teplice, Karabag, Ghent, Winterthur, Zoria and Zrinski. And we should at least make the knockout stage. Hopefully we should even finish in the top 8 with that draw. But let's simulate season 5 and see what happens. So we're at the end of season 5, the end of this rebuild, and we've managed to hit our highest league finish of the rebuild. We finished in 5th. The formation certainly seems to work going forward. Marcus Leonardo leading goal scorer ahead of Kylian Mbappe. Goncalo Borges leading assists again ahead of Mbappe. We've also drawn a lot less games this season. But a 4-4, 3-3 and 2-2-2s. But then we have seen some hammerings. We were hammered 5-0 by PSG and some big wins as well. We were top after 3 games after that. After those big wins, then we dropped off. We came back, dropped a bit again, and then we spent most of the second half of the season in 5th place. In the Coupe de France, we made it to, I think that's the 4th semi-final, and the 3rd time we've gone out at the semi-final stage, going out 5-3 to Monaco, and we were 2-0 up as well. We were 2-0 up after 25 minutes. We've dominated the game in terms of shots, slightly ahead of them on XG, but we just obviously haven't taken our chances, and we've come away on the wrong end of a bad defeat there. It was 3-3 with 9 minutes left, and then Marquinhos has popped up with 2 late goals off the bench for them, and that's just been too good for us. However, in the Europa Conference League, we faced Utrecht in the final, where we were able to come away 2-0 victories, thanks firstly to this early goal from Goncalo Borges, And then from a Goncalo Borges corner, it's headed up in the air. Keita Carr nods it down. Marcus Leonardo's shots deflected past the keeper. And that was enough. 2 first half goals to see us become Europa Conference League champions. And I think looking at the match stats there, you'd have to say we did deserve that. More possession, more shots, higher XG, just a really, really strong performance there. Squad-wise, we definitely scored a lot more goals this season. 33 for Marcus Leonardo, 23 for Mkhitaryan, 21 for Goncalo Borges, 18 for Diego Lopez, and 14 for Florian Neuhaus. Borges was definitely the main star this season. 21 goals, 26 assists. The signing of Diego Lopez, which was intended to be a sort of a backup, seems to have had an adverse effect on Ryan Cherki this season, because he only started 6 games, still managed to get 9 goals and 7 assists. But definitely a much better season attacking wise this season, and we've managed to pick up another trophy. And there we have it, 5 seasons of a rebuild with Lyon done. Slightly disappointed with the league positions, and that we weren't even challenging really for the Champions League spot. But we've come away with 2 trophy wins, their first European trophy ever, and also their first Coupe de France since the 2011-2012 season. So from that point of view, I would say it's a success. And obviously, compared to where they are in real life this season, it's certainly a success. However, as we said, a bit disappointed in the league form. If we'd maybe gone to that 4-2-4 earlier, given how that last season went, we might have been able to push up the league a bit further. But in the end, 2 trophies, can't really complain with that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.